I just wanted to make an update video on my CZ75B. That seemed to be a video a lot of people liked, so I thought I would just post an update to it. And the main thing about this gun that I didn't like was the factory curved trigger. And I had basically put off getting a new trigger for like 6 years, mostly because I didn't shoot this gun that much. And the other thing was, I didn't want to send it to Cajun Gun Works when, all I wanted to do was change the trigger where, they can basically do a whole, internal, they basically change everything in your internals up here. And for the Pro package, and I didn't want to spend, $475 just to change the trigger. So I ordered the trigger from them myself. And this is their single action, double action trigger. They have another style on there too. This one basically has a set screw right here, and you can't see the other set screw up in here, but it has like a pre-travel screw, and then this screw here is the over travel. And basically you have to get the balance just right in order for it to work. But once you get it set right, it's great. You basically, I put some green Loctite on this pre-travel screw up here and some blue on the over travel screw. But it's one of those things, you just set it and forget it. So the other thing I did is, I've seen videos where they recommended changing this roll pin up there, and the factory pin that I had in there, it wasn't a roll pin, it was like a solid pin. And I mean, it had a little bit of wear on it, but the gun had probably had about 800 rounds through it up to that point. And I mean, it had minimal wear on there, so that was kind of a negligible change that I made. I mean, I could have done with it or without it. But the main thing was changing this this trigger from the factory one, which is very, very curved, if you've seen my other video. And man, I mean, it was... So I had watched a video on YouTube that I had saved in my playlist for years, and it basically shows the guy just, disassemble the gun. He knocks out this pin right here, the factory roll pin, and voila, he lifts out the trigger bar. Well, I found out the hard way that you can't just knock out the pin and lift out the trigger bar. In fact, the sear cage has to come out. And so that was a whole bear of a thing, just because I hadn't done it before. And getting it apart was no problem, but getting it back together, it pretty much fought me every step of the way. It fought me to the point where I had given up and taken it to my gunsmith's place to let him put it back together. I mean, this gun was literally a bag of parts. I had it like in all in Ziploc baggies, so I wouldn't lose anything. And he was just basically too busy to get to it, and I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. It sat over there for like 3 weeks, and I went and picked up my bag of parts, and I put it back together, and it fought me every step of the way. But I got it back in, and if I had to do it again, it would probably be a lot easier because, well, hey, I've done it before. But so all I changed on here was this flat trigger. Once you knock out the factory roll pin, you have to put in their floating trigger pin. The factory roll pin will not go back in, so you have to get their floating trigger pin. And I changed the spring. They got like a half pound reduced power trigger spring, and it's just made a better wire. I had that fly across the room on me, and I was looking for that on a gray carpet for like 20 minutes. Next time I disassemble it, I'm going to disassemble it in a corner, like on a linoleum floor. So if something goes flying, I'll know where it is. But anyway, that's about it. I changed the trigger, that factory roll pin, to their floating trigger pin, and I changed this firing pin roll pin. And I mean, there's hardly any play. I mean, you got your wall that it goes to, and then there's no mush or take up after that, and boom, it just drops. The double action pull, I mean, you got just a tiny bit of take up there, basically, if you adjust this wrong, you adjust it too far one way or the other, it will not work. So that's why I was saying earlier in the video, you can get a real happy medium of where it's like a balancing act. And once you get it set, leave it alone. And like I said, I use green Loctite, and that stuff wicks into the threads pretty well. And, you don't want it to move again. But the double action pull, I mean, it's still pretty heavy. I didn't do the Pro package. I was going to install the Pro package and just decided that, man, I didn't want to disassemble everything that far, because I pretty much like everything else on here as it is. And then the only other thing that I did, you can't really see it, it's dark, but there's a little thing in here, a little piece of sheet metal that they put in on the like the factory guns. It's like sheet metal, and it's called the magazine brake. And basically what it does is it keeps you from jamming your magazine into your mainspring. And so I, believe it or not, bent the crap out of the original one. Don't ask me how, but I bent it up. And I went on like CZ's website and I bought a couple of extra ones. And then I talked to a guy at Cajun Gun Works, and he said that they make there's like a stainless steel one I think they make for like the shadows or something. And that one's actually pretty ingenious because it doesn't have the little tab that sticks out on the factory ones. The way that it's made, it's milled out on either side, so the frame of the gun basically holds it in place, whereas on the factory one, a little tab holds it in place, and you got to stick it under your mainspring, and you got to kind of coax it back in there. But that's really all I've done on here. So anyway, I just wanted to give you an update about the CZ75B polished stainless. Thanks for watching.